All right. Well, we are live. Hello, everybody.
Hey,
Thank
hey.
you for joining us. We are really excited to talk to you about credit and what it is that you need to do in order to keep your credit score as high as possible. There are some changes coming up, and we've got an expert here. We got Eddie in the house.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm sorry that he looks more handsome in the photo here than he does in real life. I can't do
Catfish.
anything about that.
The catfish.
um, so yeah, we're really excited to be here, y'all. So we will go ahead and kick this off in a minute. And don't forget, if you want to get a copy of our 2026 Credit Survival Guide, go ahead and register at the Eventbrite link, and we will be sure to send that to you when we're done. At the end, we are going to open it up for questions. Because the most important thing here is that you feel like you have learned something, that you feel like you are in control of your finances for the upcoming year. Whether you want to buy a house, we love that. I'm in mortgages, Eddie's in real estate and credit. We've got a bunch of real estate friends. Whether you're looking to buy a car, excellent. Or let's say you don't even care about buying a house. We're fine with that too. We just want to teach people to achieve their goals. That's it. So, Eddie, you want to introduce yourself?
Well, absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity also. I'm looking forward to sharing this knowledge with anyone who'll be interested in learning. I guess myself, Esdras Eddie Osias, I am a FICO certified credit specialist. Man, it's time flies so fast. I've been in this industry for about almost 20 years now. It's crazy. Just understanding credit, teaching credit, and just helping people achieve their goals. I'm also a licensed agent as well, so I enjoy helping people purchase homes and achieve their dreams. I'm very passionate about credit education and everything surrounding it because it's a mystery to a lot of people, and it's something that we all need. It's definitely better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it, right? So that's pretty much what I do. Now, I guess the big change right now, there's a lot of things changing in this world, but one of the biggest changes right now is this new FICO 10T model. I don't think a lot of people realize what's coming down the pipeline. So I wanted to really spend some time just jumping into it and kind of just expressing what changes, how it impacts you, especially if you're trying to buy a house. This is something that you really, really, really want to pay attention to. It's very important. So I'm excited to share this news and kind of jump into things. What you think, John? Ready to get started?
Let's do it.
All right, let's get it. So FICO 10T, right? So it's an interesting name. What does the T stand for, right? Because some people have heard of FICO. For people who don't know, we all have several credit scores, right? FICO happens to be one of the most common scores that are utilized by most lenders, credit card companies, mortgage companies. They usually look at your FICO credit score. We have other scores like your Vantage score and other things going on, but FICO is pretty much the top dog when it comes to that. So this is very important because it impacts us all, right? So there's different versions of FICO, and the new 10T model pretty much looks at trends, right? So the T is for data trending, right? So they don't just look at your immediate change right now. They look at what type of patterns you have, and it actually goes over your activity it analyzes about 2 years, 24 months of your behavior and your patterns, right? So what this means is they look at the long term. It's not just one isolated situation. They're looking for months of behavior, right? Which kind of is the opposite of how things were with the older model. So it's something that we really want to kind of pay attention to. So like short-term fixes, they matter less now, basically. All right. Let's see. Okay. So let's give a couple of examples, right? Next slide. Okay. So right now we're going to talk about high balances. There's a heavier penalty for high balances right now, right? Typically, it always hurts you, but carrying a high balance is going to have a bigger impact and is going to trigger more penalties because it's going to look like you're not stable financially, right? So that's a big impact because a lot of people have higher credit card balances, right? Another thing that's going to really be a big change is the payback cycle. A lot of people just charge their cards up, then pay them down real quick and charge them up. That's actually going to start to count against you now, right? When you run the card back up and pay it down, they're going to start to track that information and kind of penalize you for that, all right? And now maxing your card out always hurt. 50% typically is where you don't want to be, but anything above 50% really hurts your credit, right? But now it's going to hurt your credit even more. So when you're around 50 to 70%, that's going to be the equivalent of pretty much maxing out 100% of your available credit. So that's just something that you want to really pay attention to, right? So you want to have an action plan, right? So what do we do? How do we combat this change? Well, one, you want to keep your utilization low, right? You want to stay around 10 to 20% is a good place to be. That keeps you stable. And if you have a lower credit card, then you just want to make sure you just use that credit card to increase your credit score and start to use more once your limit is higher. But you want to kind of stay around that 10 to 20% range. Now, you want to pay your balances down quickly, right? You don't want to keep running it up and paying it down. You want to pay it down quickly and just kind of maintain it at a certain place because they're looking at your trends as well, right? And you just kind of want to avoid these patterns of having higher credit card limits, right? You want to kind of, if you have several cards, you want to focus on one card at a time and just get one card down and just continue to work your way up until all your credit cards are around that 10 to 20% range. That makes sense. All right. Let's see. What else has changed? Payment history. Next slide. All right. So now payment history has always been a big thing. Currently, payment history is usually about 35% of your credit score, right? So, but that's going to also hurt you severely, right? Because 35% is a big number, but now that's going to increase even more because the pain that it causes, the impact it's going to cause is going to last longer, right? So, which comes into recovery time. So whereas before a late payment hurts you, but you can kind of rebound as you make some more payments and your credit cards and you do other things. But now one late payment is going to really kind of linger, so to speak, right? So that's something that you really want to keep in mind because they're going back. And old late payments are going to hurt as well. Okay. Some good things to kind of set up to be proactive is automatic payment. Set everything up on automatic payment. This is foolproof. You don't have to run into any issues, and the penalty for being late is so severe that you almost can't afford to. So it's better to just go ahead and set it up. Most banks set it up. Sometimes your auto loan or credit card company also will allow you to set up automatic payment. I think a lot of people avoid it, but right now we want to kind of embrace that because it's definitely going to save you a lot in the long run. Let's see here. Now you want to build some redundancy. Some people might need to get apps, alerts, whatever you have to do to kind of just be conscious of it. I think a lot of people, we have the tendency to kind of just bury our head in the sand and just kind of just pray for a better day, so to speak. But we really can't afford to do that. We have to be really intentional right now with our credit because, again, like I said, it's not going to be a quick recovery if the trend for the past 24 months has not been. Okay. And here, there's no time like the present. So it's like start today. Right. You might as well just go ahead and start today and just continue to just be consistent moving forward. if that makes sense. All right. Next slide. Okay. And I guess as far as debt consolidation is concerned, some people will take a loan out to pay out a ton of debt to add another debt, another loan there, but to kind of adjust their utilization. That is not going to work as much anymore either, right? It's still going to be counted as debt. You're not going to get like a pass for the previous debt that you had on your credit report, so to speak. So there's a couple of things. There's some subtle changes and there are some big changes going to happen. I think that it's going to impact people more based off of their credit profile, because some people are already in line with FICO 10 and some people aren't. So these are just some of the things to kind of look out for. Next slide. Okay. Now, on the upside, your score is going to go up based off your positive behavior, right? So if you've already had a consistent stream of just making your payments on time for what you have and keeping your utilization down, those types of profiles are going to see a nice uptick in your credit score. But again, like I said, you just want to kind of just, if that's not you, you want to start to kind of use some credit card restraint. You want to avoid applying for new credit card applications if it's not necessary. You want to kind of manage what you have now versus adding more credit. And like I said, the utilization is key, and utilization over a long term, right? Because they're looking at the patterns. Next slide. All right, let's talk about disputes, right? Because there's other people to do credit repair. There's people who dispute things themselves. You have AI, you have a lot of different patterns and different things, right? But how does this impact credit repair? Well, challenging and removing negative items is never going to be a bad thing. There's always going to be a value there for updating information. Anything that's incorrect, that's illegally reporting, you want to get all that corrected. That's going to be a good thing, right? However, when you remove negative items that have some history attached to it, that also may impact your score negatively, because you may have been late 2 times in 5 years. And if you remove 5 years of history, that can have a negative impact on your credit. So you really want to be careful how you are disputing and what you're disputing now more than ever, because again, that payment history piece is huge, right? And you want to, like, the quick cleanup, it just doesn't impact, like, it doesn't work the same, right? Just having all your items deleted off your credit report and not having any payment history is still not going to work as well as it did in the past, if that makes sense. Next slide. A little redundant, but really you just want to, again, just manage your credit card applications. Setting up something new is great. It's great to establish and build, but at the same token, it's going to take longer for that one item to create strong history, because again, you're going to have to make payments on time for a longer period of time for it to make a significant impact on your credit, right? Meanwhile, you have an inquiry on your credit report, or a hard inquiry, which can impact your credit score from 3 to 5 points, right? So we want to be conscious of that. All right, let's go ahead and talk about how to get ready. Next slide. Okay, so if you're looking to become a homeowner in the next 12 months or so, or 24 months, you want to kind of pace yourself. And here's just a little, I guess, roadmap, so to speak, of kind of what to do, starting from square one, right? Because some people need to start from square one. Some people are already halfway there. Everybody's at different paces when it comes to credit. So this is just a little roadmap on what you need to do. So you want to start, of course, maintaining consistent low balances, right? You want to start payment patterns. Some people believe that cash is king. I believe that credit is king. I actually believe that you can have both. You don't have to be on one side or the other, but there are some people who just die hard. I'm just going to pay cash and that's it. Those people are going to really suffer with this particular model, because it's not rewarding cash at all. You have to show some trend, or your score is just going to be low, right? So again, for the first 6 to 12 months prior to buying a house, you kind of want to start working on those things to start establishing some good payment history. There's several services that you can go to, not just a secure credit card or regular credit card. There's tons of services that you can adopt that can help build your credit and show some on-time payment history. And some services even go back; it's retroactive, right? So which is wonderful. Let's just say about step 2, I would say about 4 to 6 months before you buy, you want to clean up your credit. This is where you want to make sure there's no old addresses lingering. You want to make sure that you don't have any information that's reporting incorrectly. This is where you want to kind of start digging into your credit report, trying to get all that cleared up. So about 2 to 3 months before you are ready to buy, you want to avoid any unnecessary trade lines. Any trade line is pretty much just applying for anything: new credit card, loan, car. You don't want to buy a car if you don't necessarily have to, right? You don't want to buy a car right before you buy a house, right? I don't want to step on John's toes and get into that, but that does impact your debt to income ratio. And you can just buy the car after if possible. So 2 or 3 months, you want to kind of stay on the credit freeze, try to maintain everything you've been doing prior to that, right? And then that fourth step will be, it's time to apply, right? You set up a pattern of on-time payments. You've kept your balances down. You haven't added a bunch of inquiries or a bunch of new items to your credit. So now you seem like a financially strong candidate to qualify for a mortgage, and your score is going to reflect it. Typically, you want to have at least 3 to 4 items reporting on your credit as well as to show some strong payment, right? So if you just have the one credit card, you want to kind of step that up to have at least 3 to 4 items showing on-time payments, not just the one. All right. So next slide. I hope I'm doing good on time also. How are we doing? Okay. All right, cool. So basically, it all comes down to budgeting and discipline, because this new model is kind of forcing you to kind of do that, because some people really rely on their credit cards heavily, but this it can't be an option for you. You're going to kind of have to shift gears. So budgeting and learning budgeting tools, there's softwares, there's apps, and sometimes it's just a regular piece of paper and writing out your budget. But we really kind of have to pay attention to that more now than ever, especially if you're trying to buy a house or you're trying to maintain a strong credit profile. Right. Next slide. All right. So we're building a credit profile lenders trust, not just changing a higher number. Right. It's not chasing a higher number. Forgive me. Right. So basically, chasing a higher number is what worked before, right? It was just about, okay, let me try to go ahead and make this adjustment, get this high credit score real fast so I can buy a house, buy a car, and do what I want to do. That doesn't really work as much anymore under this model. It's really seriously about just building a trusted profile, right? How does it look going back 2 years, right? So that's something that can't really be changed overnight, which is why you have to act now. If you don't have any payment history, or you have maybe 1 or 2 items reporting, you really have to kind of bump that up, right? I guess the old approach to credit was this focusing on score manipulation, like I said, right? The quick fixes and the hacks and all that. Just because something is removed off your credit report or items are wiped off your credit report before it didn't really guarantee that you were going to have a high credit score. Because you still have to have payment history, because payment history has always been the largest factor in your credit score, 35%. But now it's even more important, right? So you can't really game the system. You really have to go in and have some discipline and just build up your credit from the ground up, basically. Next slide. Okay, your FICO 10 readiness roadmap. We kind of talked about some of this before, but again, like I said, you really want to pay down your balances down to at least 20%. 10 to 20 should be the goal. And a lot of people kind of stretch their money out against all their cards. If you have several credit cards, you're better off just making a minimum payment on the cards that you can, and then pick one and just double down and try to pay one card down and then move on to the next card. but that's going to be a huge piece of the puzzle. Stop using your credit cards for non-essential items. If it's not really important, then I just wouldn't use a credit card, right? Just use it as a tool to maintain your credit score, right? And also, just again, you want to avoid new applications, especially as you go on the road of trying to build that credit. Now, again, if you don't have enough credit, then you're going to have to apply, but be consistent and be conscious of what you're applying to. You don't want to apply for something that's not going to definitely give you the bang for your buck or approve you, right? So the next 60 to 90 days, you want to establish predictable payment patterns. Like I said, and I'll also share with John, there's a ton of companies that you can go to outside of just your typical go get a secure credit card. There's a lot of good programs out there that will help you establish some good payment history. Again, 60 to 90 days, just maintaining utilization across all the cards, across all the boards, right? Across all credit bureaus, because all items don't report on all 3 credit bureaus, but you want to be consistent with all your cards eventually, right? Because some people can't do that, and some people kind of work their way towards that, but that should be the goal. Now, again, you want to, it's going to be hard for some people, but you want to avoid the charge down, charge up pattern, paying your cards all the way down and then charging them up. That's going to hurt your credit now. Okay. This in day 90 or so, celebrate your progress. Because if you're consistent with some of the things that I discussed, you should see some progress by day 90. And then just celebrate it. Right. And then again, just refine, do what you need to do, adjust, right? Make the changes. Some people use cash, right? A lot of people don't really, it helps you with budgeting a lot, because a lot of people use their debit cards, but sometimes the change might be, okay, I'm just going to take out the $100 for the week or whatever it is your budget is and just leave my debit card alone, right? That extra money, I can just put it towards my credit cards. Like, we're just going to have to kind of be creative, right? You want to build that savings account, right? Because that's also going to give you the ability to not rely so much on the dependency of credit, because that's what they're really ultimately trying to see: who really needs to rely on the credit, or who's handling the credit irresponsibly, and who really has the finances to be able to, or the discipline to be able to sustain. Because at the end of the day, when you're buying a house, that is more attractive, because that makes the lender feel more comfortable giving you the loan, because it seems like you'll be more responsible with the payments, right? So yeah, so that's it, guys. That's pretty much FICO 10T in a nutshell. Again, like I said, we're going to share some resources for people who are interested in learning a little bit more. But guys, like I said, you just want to just focus, make the adjustments, and see the results. And that's it. That's all I got.
All right. Thank you very much, Eddie.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
So let's change this real quick. And we are, just make a real quick change. Come on. One minute. There we go. All right, upload that. And okay. And so Eddie, you want to talk about how long you've been in the credit industry for while I am getting this one ready?
Sure. Oh man, it's dating me. You want to make me sound old, John? No, it's been a while. I actually started my credit journey when I was like 24. I wanted to buy a house, for my mom. I'm originally from New Jersey, and my mother was she was in Jersey. I wanted to move her to Virginia, so I tried to fix my credit. I just paid off all these collection accounts, and then watched my credit score go down like 80 points. And then to add insult to injury, I did a settlement with a credit card with a bank, and then I paid half of it. And after I paid half of it, the next month I got a call from a new collection company asking for the difference, right? So it just all sounded fishy to me, right? So that is what piqued my curiosity to credit. I said, this can't be right. Lo and behold, it wasn't, right? So I started, disputing items and got items deleted off my credit report rather quickly. I got like 100 points back, and somewhere around 60-ish, 90 days. And then it was just crazy to me because I felt like I unlocked a secret that people just didn't know. I know I didn't know, right? So I was sharing it with my coworkers, and then doing little seminars, after work, and then it kind of just went from there. But I eventually ended up buying my first house when I was 24. I bought my 4-bedroom townhouse, moved in a couple of my buddies, split the rent. It was a real good situation. So, but all that came from credit and just knowledge, right? So that's how I ended up getting into it.
Awesome. Thank you, Eddie.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure.
I didn't know Jersey. Where in Jersey?
Irvington, New Jersey.
Yes. I know Irvington well. I had 2 Rite Aid stores in Irvington, New Jersey. They were fun.
What? I had no idea. Look at that. I probably went in.
You probably did.
It's a small world.
I know. We love Passaic.
Hey.
All right. Well, thanks, Eddie. If anyone has any other questions for Eddie, just go ahead and drop them in the chat. I am going to take us home, and I'm going to talk about some of the changes with pay over time. Unlike Eddie, who looked better on his slide deck, I know I look much better in person than I do there. So, thank you for that. So I just want to talk to y'all briefly about pay over time. And there are some changes that have happened recently that, if you're not aware, are really going to surprise you, and not in a good way, not a good surprise. So let's go ahead and talk about that. Before we do, for those of you that don't know me, I am John Hopkins. I am a mortgage loan officer, broker. I am also the founder, president, and chief mortgage navigator for Anchor Mortgage. And I am, which didn't think when I started in this business 4 years ago that I would be where we are right now, building a team. And, we are all about, bottom line, the most important thing to us is that people feel empowered. And the number one way to empower folks is through knowledge. And so we are here giving that knowledge away for free, whether you work with us or anyone on our team, or take this knowledge and go work with someone else. Great. We're just happy that we were able to help. So let's talk a little bit about pay over time. So the shift is that pay over time includes buy now, pay later. And that is things like Affirm, Klarna, Afterpay. These are usually going to be marketed as something that's interest-free and low risk, right? However, the risk isn't as low as you thought it was. So the old assumption before was that these really didn't affect my credit, right? Well, that's true. They didn't, for the most part, unless you were trying to buy a house, in which case, when we saw your bank statement and we saw all those Affirm or Klarna, we were definitely asking you questions. But the new reality is that these are now becoming reportable. Not all of the buy now, pay laters are reporting, but the majority of them are. And so you would probably think that that's a good thing, right? But let's talk about why that can be problematic. So, the first thing that we want to do is we want to talk about some intentionality. Pay over time is not a bad thing. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that premise. In many, many cases, it is interest free. And Eddie had talked about cash being king, actually credit being king. I am in both camps, but I believe that it's good to save cash. And if you're able to get something interest free, that's free money. Why the hell not? Right? However, everything comes with a cost, right? And so you want to make sure that if you are using these with intentionality, that you are protecting yourself and you are not stacking them multiply, because that can cause a problem. So I would say safety first, be consistent and practice some restraint. It's going to help you in the long run. Ideally, if you're going to use these, then you want to make sure that you are stopping using them about 6 to 12 months out from making any considerable purchase. However, that's still not going to take you from risk-free of using these. And again, I'll explain why. 90 to 120 days out of making a big purchase, avoid opening any new pay over time. Avoid opening any new credit, which Eddie absolutely talked about. And keep your bank statements clean and predictable. Don't move money around. Don't have these pay over time with this money coming out. Don't send Cash App to your buddy Eddie, who just needs a quick loan. Just hold off on that. Keep your money stable. You want to be stable going into any large purchase. And if you do have some pay over time and they did linger a little bit longer than you thought they would, then pay them off. Pay them off now. Pay them off before you get into this, right? And so make sure that your discipline today protects your future and builds a credit profile that people can trust, right? So the main takeaway is pay over time isn't bad, but if you misuse it, it is. But what I really want to talk about is the downside to these hitting your credit is a couple of things that you may not be aware of. So, Eddie, how much of your credit score is based on new credit?
10%.
So 10% of your credit score is based on getting new credit. So that means that if you are getting a ton of new credit kind of all at once, well, then what's going to happen, Eddie?
It's going to multiply.
Absolutely. And 10% of your score is going to suffer, right?
Mhm.
Because it's now that it's reporting, it's going to see all of these new credits or liabilities that are coming on, and that's going to impact your new accounts. Eddie, how much of your score is built on age of credit?
35%.
And there it is. So, what is age of credit? Eddie, you want to tell us what age of credit is?
Age of credit is going to be more of how old an item has been open for a period of time. So if you close the account, so to speak, you lose that age of credit, right? So it has to be open and active.
So if I close that account that I opened in 1942, I know I look great. What's going to happen to my credit report?
Oh, you're going to lose.
Score?
Yeah, score's going to go down a lot.
My age of credit is going to tank, right? And so a best practice is probably heard a lot of people talk about the fact that if you pay off a card, it's usually not the best idea to close it necessarily. If you can't trust yourself, Eddie, correct me if I'm wrong, but wouldn't it be better to cut it in half than it would be to close the account out?
It would be another thing. I had to do this for a family member. Just put it in a cup of ice, put it in a cup of water, and just put it in the freezer.
I love that.
You know, it's not permanent, but still there. You know, it's going to take time to get to it.
Dude, you know, that's brilliant. I love that. Wow.
And also, I need to correct myself. It's actually 15%. I was thinking payment history. It's still impactful. Age of credit, or length of credit, is 15%. Payment history is where you got the 35%.
Yep. So 15% is your age of credit, which is still significant. So now, though, we are talking about 10% for new items. We're talking about 15% for age. So now we're at a quarter of your credit score. Well, here's what happens. Every single time that you are going to get a new Pay Over Time app, it is going to be registered as a brand new installment account on your credit.
Wow.
And if you stack those up over a year, and I see your bank statements. I know how y'all are using those. And I know that it is easy to get 10 to 20 of them in a year. So that means that you are now adding 20 new accounts. How many old accounts? How old would your old accounts have to be to offset 20 accounts? So that is problem number one. Wow. Problem number two is the fact that not only is it going to drop down your age of accounts, but like we said, it is also going to show up as new accounts. And so 25% of your credit score is at risk every single time that you are getting more and more and more of these buy now, pay later apps. Again, not all of them are reporting, but soon they all will be. The other thing to keep in mind that is really important is every time that you do something out of the norm with your credit. So for example, Eddie, if I get a new account and I have nothing wrong with my credit, what's going to happen to my score for the first 90 days?
Oh, it's going to go down. You're going to have an inquiry.
Right. So it's going to go down because I have an inquiry. It's going to go down because I have a new account. And that is because the scoring algorithm doesn't know yet what I'm going to do with that account. So it is going to kind of hedge itself and say, even though he's got good credit, he might screw this one up. So we're gonna take some points away, right? After I am responsible with that credit for 90 days, my score is probably going to return to baseline, maybe a little bit higher. Then, once I pay off that account, what would you expect to happen when you pay off an account? That's a good thing, right? Not in the eyes of credit reporting, because what they're tracking is how well do we manage active debt. And so when we pay off active debt, even though we're now going to have maybe a lower liability, it's a change. And what does the credit scoring algorithm need? How many more days, Eddie, to figure out whether I screw it up again?
30 more days.
So between 30 and 90 days is what you're going to have again. So every single time that you are getting a new buy now, pay later account, 25% of your score is at risk, and you are going to have to wait 6 months for the kind of tide to figure out whether or not you are good with your credit. So your score is going to drop, then it's going to normalize, then it might increase a little bit, then it's going to drop again, right? So if you do that multiple times, you can almost imagine how detrimental it could be. You could easily see a score drop with 10 to 20 buy now, pay laters. I'd say anywhere between 40 to 60 points. So remember, this isn't about scaring you away from using buy now, pay later, taking advantage of interest-free applications like that. Because again, free money, that is great. And I love free money. I love if I was able to keep money in the bank and just pay minimal over time and not have any interest on that. But remember, use it responsibly, use it strategically, and don't misuse it. So we are, if anyone has any questions, they can go ahead and type them here. We will be sending out our 2026 credit survival guide to everyone that signed up. And you know what? I'm feeling generous because we're not looking to gain anything off this except for you feeling empowered. I'm just going to send it out for free on Facebook to anybody and everybody that wants it, because that's how we roll. So, Eddie, I have worked with you, man. I can't believe it now, dude. Like, we were both practically brand new. You were brand new, and I was brand new, and I don't even remember how the hell we found each other, but I still remember I was in my first mortgage broker's office, and you called me, and I had to sneak off to another room to kind of get to know you, and here we are. So it's been awesome. I learned a bunch. So if you think about kind of as a general takeaway, right? It's all about thinking about tomorrow. So if you think about what Eddie talked to us about with the FICO 10T, FICO 10T is all about the trend.
That's right.
And if you think about what we're talking about with buy now, pay later, what are we talking about? We're talking about using it responsibly. We're talking about using it with a understanding of the potential impact, right?
Yeah.
And it is all, and that is means that you're thinking about the future. And so, look, do whatever you want to do. That we're going to support you, love you, respect you, whatever, either way. But if you are looking to make a significant purchase, then it's really important that you understand that there are certain behaviors that if you do, that could really affect what you're trying to achieve.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Eddie, anything you want to share in closing?
No, it's been some time, man. The years go by fast. You know, I appreciate it. Always had great interaction. We always had great transactions. So I appreciate the relationship, and I'm looking forward to continuing to build. And yeah, I mean, credit. I think that in the long term, I think that this model, we have no choice. It's here now. But I think in the long term, it leaves room for people to be more financially stable long term, right? Because 2 years is going to turn to 4 years, 4 years to turn into 6. So it's really just about being disciplined and adjusting where you put your money, right? So I'm all for it, you know. So we're here. If anybody has questions, we're going to give out the free resources. If you have credit questions, I've always been here, and I'll always be here to help assist and educate in any way I can.
All right. So John Hopkins here from Anchor Mortgage saying thank you so much. We appreciate it. So on Facebook, you can, so Anchor Mortgage at Anchor Mortgage is on Facebook. John S. Hopkins III as well. You can find me, Eddie.
You can find me on Instagram at Ed the Credit Guy. Also, you can find me on Facebook, Ezra Socias. And Yeah, Add the Credit Guide, though, probably the best resource that way, because I can really get in contact with you and share as much resources with you as possible.
Awesome. And let me do this right here. There we go. There's our Anchor profile. And then also, if you ever want any resources, check out our website, our company website, myanchormortgage.com. We have a ton of free resources there. We are also, in addition to Facebook, surprise, going to take this free content. We're going to add it to our website as well. So it's always going to be there for you. Yeah, it's, we appreciate you taking your Thursday evening with us or Thursday night with us to learn a little bit about credit. And we hope this made a difference for you. So, Eddie, thank you so much for joining me and taking the time. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure. Thank you for having me. And I'm very happy that we're able to give this resource out to people and leave it available for them to kind of go back to, look at, take notes, because there's definitely some powerful information.
Absolutely. All right.
All right, now.
Thank y'all. We appreciate everybody. Take care. Have a great night.
Have a good night, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.